exhausted.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order.
It is going.
Roads and Bridges Committee.
Hey, can't tell that yet, okay. All right.
And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna
Bye-bye.
turn this one over to the judge, cause he's the one that requested a meeting for it tonight.
Thank you, Justice Ash. I did, and the reason why is we haven't had many this year, and I just want to bring everybody up to date on what the road department has accomplished. The first couple of items, speak with Dr. Cullum's concerns. We've already talked about it a little bit, but, the resolution and request for Highway 20 to be named Jimmy Hart Highway left the county through the U.S. Postal Service, destined for Little Rock. And I contacted the district engineer twice since that time, and he has been able to confirm the receipt, although he didn't deny the receipt in Little Rock. He requested a copy of the same, and we have. And so he requested it to go to him so that he can monitor progress. But he also said that traditionally this takes months and a year is not uncommon.
I heard from our local senator's office and from the Arkansas State Police, who were very close to Mr. Hart. So I really didn't have any official notice, just people from my area that were concerned.
Yeah.
And the state officials let us believe that you're wrong, so you need to know that.
Okay, well, I was informed, and I did not put it in the mail, but my administrative assistant assured me that it went out through the postal service right after the report.
Okay.
But in light of the United States Postal Service track record here of late, there's a very good chance that it might not have made it. So I appreciate you bringing it to our attention.
Well, the whole thing, the whole point of what I said, for us to expedite what we do, the intent was good, and some of it's been done. But the time that it took us to do it reflects on you and us, and it's in my area and me. And I'm new at bureaucratic process. The part that I've been a part of, I've been a horse's butt before.
Well, and I've been in the private sector all my life, so this can be kind of startling.
Right.
And those are the next two is County Road 1064, which was wide and had improvements made on it. November 10th, I believe that was a Wednesday. We sent an excavator, a road grader, and 5 dump trucks out there. One reason that took that long to get accomplished is when that road comes off of Highway 61, it is private in spots and county road in other spots.
Except after the
So,
graveyard.
so we widened that area that we could, and that we couldn't, we didn't. That road is 16 foot, a little bit further down. It's not as wide as we would prefer it to be, but it's certainly functional.
The farmer and the dirt mover that were concerned said they can, with that widening, they can make that turn. But they had a heck of a time during harvest season making that.
And if that had been a regularly scheduled road, then we could have went it and done it right then. But since it's a road that we do not normally maintain, then we had to research where we began and somebody else did.
Well, and the local people that lived there were not, I'll say Christian. They didn't want to bend at all. And what difference would it make if they had taken at the turn point 6 feet of the road?
Yeah.
It wasn't like you want to go right by house and take the addition off.
Yeah.
All you want was to widen the turn.
Of course, if that had been your yard, you might have had something to say.
Well, okay, to give you for instance, in my yard, the farmer was crossing the berm, turn right. And if you can't turn on the berm, I want you to turn around, I don't want you to come on my yard for it. But I can't take my riding lawnmower, hit those tractor tracks. Well,
Yeah.
having known him and his daddy, he said, you know, we know better than that, don't we? I said, well, yeah, but I still say, I don't care where you turn around, or if you come on the yard.
Yeah. The Birdsong Road, received its improvement on Monday, November 1st, and we took 25 loads of slag out there. The road department's had a good calendar year. We've applied 1,120 loads of red clay gravel, which just left us 150 loads short of our goal. But as this unusual weather plays out, we're continuing to move material, so we may exceed our goal for the year end. We put out 1,890 loads of slag in addition to the red clay gravel. We cleaned out 12.4 miles of ditches. We replaced 27 culverts. 100 truckloads of dirt was transported by the road department to the landfill, which was donated. We've got another 100 truckloads of dirt that will be arriving at the landfill, which also be donated. So that is in the works right now. We've demolished 2 county bridges, replaced one of those with 2 11-foot and diameter rail cars, and the other one we just demolished and left. It wasn't needed as bridge anymore, and we've got another one to demolish, which is, I knew these were coming, and these aren't the first ones that we've torn down, but that's why we bought the hammer that goes on the end of an excavator. And then last year is interesting. You know, we had that cold snap, and we had a lot of roads that were asphalt roads that were iced up and impassable. So we ended up fabricating 2 pieces of equipment. One that would put salt and into a solution of water and keep it in suspension, and the other one was a piece of equipment that would apply that salt water. So it slides in and out of the back of a pickup truck. It worked so well that we decided we were going to make 2 more, and so we're in the process of finishing those this week. And those went, and we're talking about an extremely modest amount of money. I'm going to say the first one we pretty much built out of scrap. I bet we had got $100 in those pieces of equipment. And so I have reached out to the cities, and if they would like, the first one was a pilot project to see if it would work. And they worked so well, and it was so cheap, and it provided so much assistance to the residents that we're going to try to bring the cities in, and if they're interested in it, then we'll see if we can't manufacture some more. So, road department has done very well in spite of all its difficulties in 2021. We keep moving along, moving up, so we're excited about that. Is there any questions? Justice Ash, I'll turn it back over to you.
And I'm gonna ask a question. I know Justice McDonald's been involved in this. We had a group come talk to us about some bicycle paths, putting up some signage. And I think the question becomes, most of those they wanted on state highways. Is that true?
That's the way I understand it.
Would we be responsible for putting up the signs, or would the state be responsible for that?
It would be the state.
I don't think they'll let us, you know.
I've already approached them twice on it, and they weren't receptive at all.
It's kind of like digging in their ditch. They get mad pretty quick.
Yeah,
And then we can do our county roads anywhere they come up with.
Sure. And you know, we've been working towards, or my office has, of getting the bike trail along the Mississippi River levee, which we've got. But we've accomplished everything that we had before us, except for putting the infrastructure in place, which is going to be somewhere around $400,000. fact, I'm setting up a meeting now with a new department that the governor just created, the Office of Outdoor Recreation, and I'm thinking that they might be able to help us with assistance with some of the money that we take to put that trail into effect, which is very exciting because, the Waltons put $20 million in with the state, like a total of $40 million down south. And it will be very, very soon that you'll be able to ride a bicycle from Marion to Louisiana state line. So in fact, we're almost there right now. And I've been down, when I was first exposed to that, I went down to a friend of mine, a county judge in Deshae County. He wanted to show me his bike trail, which at the time, this 2019, I didn't know, I've seen it. It'd be nice, I went up there and looked at it with him and was absolutely amazed how important it was to me there, and I understood it then. So we have come back, and it's a long story, but I ended up having a consultant get in touch with me, and she made several trips to Mississippi County and she didn't charge the county anything.
How many miles would that be in Mississippi County?
40.
It was a long time.
Yeah, and that's not exactly right, but I do have a map that shows every gate that goes over the levees. And, in fact, I've got one of those bridges that would be required to go on those, fences that, is in my office right now, if anybody who should see it. Ish in Bassett, fabricated that.
That's what I was gonna ask, how do you get through the gates on top of it?
They're kind of like cattle gates that sit adjacent to them or
Okay.
at the end of them, and you can ride unimpeded across there. Now, Wilson, they've already got several miles with the same. In fact, Ish made those gates as well. So they've got several miles of trail there. They go on and off the levee and then into the town. So
Doesn't that leave the vehicle traffic will still be gated off, but doesn't it have a small gap that the bicycles go through?
it does. It's just barely wide enough to get through, and then it's got the cattle gate kind of a bottom to it.
Yeah. So you couldn't drive through there in your truck, but you could in a bicycle.
That's what I'm fixing to ask.
Right.
But the cows can't get out.
That was gonna be my question, was how do you keep the cows off?
That cattle gate that he's talking about, it's bars down, and they won't walk across it. You know, underneath, there's a gap underneath it, and they won't walk across that.
And they've had those same style in place down south of here for, I'm gonna say, 6 years or maybe 7. Not one complaint, not one accident, not one incident. It's been problem free.
I just wanted to ask about that, because I didn't want the people who were asking about bicycle trails to think we were just ignoring them.
No, I've reached out, twice, and this went to our district engineer to move it on up the line. I barely got the question out before he pretty much said no, and I went back to him the second time. They just don't come to the table very well, so.
Not real interested.
In fact, actually, that's how the de-icing, equipment had gotten, that's the reason why, is because I asked them, you remember last year when it snowed so much? I asked them to make a pass in front of, well, that loop right there at the Meadows, Highway that goes in front of the, sheriff's department, that comes out on the other end, to do it so that we've maintained our emergency services, and no was the answer.
Really?
Really.
Even going to the sheriff's department,
That's the only one I requested them do.
and no.
No, and it come out really fast, and it was very blunt, and that's not unusual when I speak with them, so I said, well, I guess we'll just fix this. If you want good, I'll just make our own. And, Tony and the guys at the road department had one built, and I'm telling you, it wasn't very long at all. I'm just saying a couple of 3 or 4 days. And they were de-icing, so it worked out very, very well. But that's the highway department. We do come together on a lot of things. But, we also argue on a lot more, so. But our lines of communication are open.
Anyone else have anything to bring before the committee?
I wondered about road graders, how we doing?
We're doing well. The only issue that we're having with, I'm gonna say equipment in general, is it's hard to get it. I entered into kind of an agreement with them, it wasn't anything that's binding over the road graders that's coming up for lease to go ahead and get them right now. Because I'm afraid we don't commit to them that, we may not get them when the time gets here, so, we'll see how, that part of the manufacturing world, and then getting them the part, or getting the actual machines delivered, see how it goes.
I do have a question, and it just hit me, because I ended up in a 45-minute conversation I wasn't expecting in the aisle and Lowe's yesterday. No, it wasn't on me. You've explained to us, would you explain to us again the bridge project status that you've been working on for quite a while now?
The bridge over at, Half Moon?
Well, that bridge is the one they were talking about in particular, but you're involved in a project that's gonna do a lot of work in the county, if I remember right, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, we're working on 23 bridges.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Would you mind just briefing us again on that, just to refresh my memory, please?
There's 5 owners that, are surround that bridge that, we have to have an easement, construction easement. 2 of them, have not signed yet, so we have run down and been out there and mailed requests. I have not used, my power of eminent domain, because I was hoping that I wouldn't have to do something like that, but, that's been one of the biggest holdouts, plus it came right in the middle of COVID. So that shut down a lot of the, necessary visits that RDOT had to come out, and get their part done.
Well, isn't the state actually the one gonna do the work, though?
They are.
That's what I was trying to explain, that it's the state that's gonna do that work, and actually it's them that's it's gonna be their money spent and stuff, isn't it?
Some of it's gonna be ours, some of it actually came out of county general, and then some of it came out of state aid. It's about $1 million project.
Yeah.
And then there's
You're just talking about the one bridge right now, aren't you?
the one bridge.
Yeah.
That's $1 million in that one, so. The other one I can attribute to, I guess I could come up with all, I'm gonna say excuses, but, I did not realize that the county were gonna be responsible for relocating utilities to well into the project. So one of those utilities, there's 3, is AT&T. And believe it or not, you cannot hardly find a phone number for AT&T or the contact information. I bet you we spent 2 weeks on and off looking for that. Finally ended up finding them. We did a 1 call actually, last week. RDOT scheduled to come in here and look at the 1 call. And what we're gonna try to do is work around them without having to relocate the utilities. So, because we have one bridge right now that's, what's the highway that runs, west of Burdette, crosses the interstate right there.
158? Yeah.
And relocating those utilities may delay that bridge a year. So we're working with that. We're working on a great number of projects, so, but we hope, like I said, RDOT's scheduled to come out next week, and we'll look at those utilities. Hopefully we won't have to relocate them, because I wouldn't even know where to put them, to get out of their way.
Exactly. So,
that's, I guess, part of being a Cook County judge, is just not being familiar with that sort of thing, and the requirements just put on that, so.
do you know, and they weren't acoustic or caustic about this, will the bridge on the west side of Dale, the city limits there, will it ever be replaced?
We talked about that this morning. Half of that bridge is good, and the other half of that bridge needs to come down. And So we don't have a crane, number one. And even if we did, we'd have to have a bridge crew again. I'm not sure we wanna go down that road. Maybe.
They weren't insisting, it was just more curiosity.
But, right now, and I haven't said it, actually, like I said, Tony and I talked about it this morning, and he was waiting on me to say, take it all down, or take half of it down. And I did not commit, but since I've thought about it since then, it's probably gonna all come down, because I don't know what good I have to really do there. And if we're not gonna put it back up, I don't know who else will, so.
Yeah, that'd be whose bridge that is that the drainage districts? I mean, whose ditch that is,
I think it's the drainage district.
and they don't have any money.
And I don't think
I mean, I'm not being ugly, they
and I
don't
don't
have
think
any money.
they're interested in putting it back.
But they'll push for private sector to replace it even ahead. Lots of talk out in my area where there's a lot of canals. They try to get the joint landowners to pay for coal.
And we had another complaint this morning, it's the overpass right there, Bassett goes over the interstate.
Did you see it on Channel 8?
No,
It was on Channel 8 2 nights ago. And the guy that was there had called me 2 or 3 days earlier, and I called Tony. I said, Tony, bring me up to speed on this down there, and that's in his district, but this was just a friend, a longtime friend that called me and said, what do I need to do? Who do I talk to? Can you give me the state rep's number? And I said, well, let me make a couple calls. So I called Tony, and I said, Tony, what would be the best avenue? Because the address on it is Arkansas Highway, State Highway 181. And, Tony said, go to, I don't know if you call her the district manager or regional
I
manager.
do know where she's located in South.
Miss Shirley. He
Yeah.
says, to me, she's Miss Shirley,
She's always been accommodating.
and that's what Tony said she's always been extremely nice, and this is where you go to locate her, and just best thing to do is drive down there and talk to her face to face, and if she's not there, then drive another mile and a half around and go to the second office and see who's there. And so I passed that information to the guy that was on TV the other night, and he called me the next morning, and said, by golly, I went down there, and she was really nice. And I showed her my video and showed her what all was going on, and she was gonna start running it up the flag, and in the meantime, then we got a hold of Monty Hodges, and shared it with Monty Hodges, and Monty was gonna see what he could get done, and then the very next night, I seen him on TV.
That bridge, that overpass has been patched. And I've only been here 3 years, and it has been patched over and over and over.
Well, it looks like it's just all patches holding each other together.
Yeah.
And
And
they just fix the same one, rip the same way, concrete chunks were falling out of the underneath portion into the highway.
I told him the backfire on it, he called me a while ago just to thank me for giving him the information. And I said, your backfire on that is if the state comes in and inspects it and doesn't have the money or doesn't want to do it right now, they may just cut you plumb off.
yeah,
And then you're gonna be driving either around the joiner or all the way around the turtle to get across the interstate.
RDOT contacts, my office regularly, gives me notice that they're gonna shut a bridge, gives me the weight limits and what they found out, what they're gonna do. I did have one interesting, and this was a phone call, but an email. They let me know they was fixing to shut a bridge down in less than an hour, and they had never done that.
Oh.
They usually give me arguing, and, but our bridges are in that bad a shape. I called them, early on since I've been here, like 2019, told them that they had mismarked the bridge, because I think they had, the bridge weight limits has got 3, and the third one is a trailer truck. I think they had it might have been a 5T, I'll just put it that way. Could have been a 10, but anyway, I called him, I said, trailer trucks weigh more than that if you took all the gas out of them. And he said, I know. And this was on 77, right in the middle of nothing but agriculture.
Wow.
And, he said, that's the right way. So that's the kind of shape that we're in. So, we are, or not we, RDOT is trying to play catch up and get us back into
And I interrupted you when you were gonna talk about the Bassett overpass, and I apologize for that. You were gonna say something about it.
Oh, well, I mean, that's not the, well, Dr. Coleman pointed out, the concrete at Rivercrest, but see, there's one that is south of the Burdette, overpass, because I was going over it, and,
Goes over there to the state places that we were talking.
and I got out, and there was a hole this big, and like I said, I got out and looked down, you could see the car going past.
That's not good.
That's
The
not
one at
good.
Burnett was the same way, and they just fixed it.
You know, they got like an inch piece of steel, and I bet you carted it all over the county, so. But we are doing something about it, we've been screaming and hollering, like I said, 22 bridges in that one project is a huge number of bridges. We had one of the engineers that came out and visited with me and was talking to that effect, and I said, well, you know, I don't have a measuring stick over how many bridges. And he said, well, I've been here 32 years, and biggest project I've ever seen had 3 bridges. So,
When do they think they'll start?
I think that their plans were to start probably 6 months ago during, you know, like I said, the COVID has held everything up. I think they started and stopped. And when they get to the point where they want, you know, when they're working from home or for whatever reason, they suspend any more trips outside the office, so, everything pretty much stops.
I think that's all I got, Chair.
You got anything else? Does anyone else have any questions? No, we're going to adjourn this meeting.
All right.
We'll do the next meeting.
Is Janice coming today?